During the summer of 2003, events in the northeastern United States involving a strange human-like creature sparked brief local media interest before an apparent blackout was enacted. Little or no information was left intact, as most online and written accounts of the creature were mysteriously destroyed, primarily focused in rural New York State. Self-proclaimed witness told stories of their encounters with a creature of an unknown origin. Emotions ranging from extreme traumatic levels of frightening discomfort to an almost childlike sense of playfulness and curiosity. While their published versions are no longer on record, the memories remain powerful. Several of the involved parties began looking for answers that year. In early 2006, the collaboration had accumulated nearly 24 documents dating between the 12th century and the present day, spanning 4 continents. In almost all cases, the stories were identical. I've been in contact with a member of this group, and I was able to get some excerpts from their upcoming book, Rake. This is a suicidal note, 1964. As I prepared to take my life, I feel it necessary to any guilt or pain introduced through this act. It is not the fault of anyone other than him. And once I woke, I felt his presence. And once I woke, I saw his form. Once again, I woke and I heard his voice and looked into his eyes. I cannot sleep without fear of what might awake, what next awake to experience. I cannot ever wake. Goodbye. Found in the same wooden box were 2 empty envelopes addressed to William and Rose, and 1 loose personal letter with no envelope. Dearest Liddy, I have prayed for you. He spoke your name. A journal entry translated from Spanish, 1880. I have experienced this greatest terror. I have experienced the greatest terror. I have experienced the greatest terror. I see his eyes when I close mine. They are hollow, black. They saw me and pierced me. His wet hand, I will not sleep. His voice, and then the rest is all unintelligible text. A mariner's log, 1691. He came to me in my sleep. From the foot of my bed I felt a sensation. He took everything. We must return to England, where I shall not return here again at the request of the Rake. From a witness, 2006. 3 years ago, I had just returned from a trip from Niagara Falls with my family for the 4th of July. We were all very exhausted after a long day of driving. So, my wife and I put the kids right to bed and called it a night. About 4 a.m., I woke up thinking my wife had gotten up to use the restroom. I just used the moment to steal back the sheets, only to wake him in the process. I apologized and told him I thought he got out of bed, or she got out of bed. When she turned to face me, she gasped and pulled her feet up from the end of the bed so quickly that her knee almost knocked me out of the bed. She grabbed me and said nothing. After adjusting to the dark for half a second, I was able to see what caused the strange reaction. At the foot of the bed, sitting and facing away from us, there was what appeared to be a naked man on a large hairless dog of some sort. Its body position was disturbing and unnatural, as if it had been hit by a car or something. For some reason, I was not instantly frightened by it, but more concerned as to its condition. At this point, I was somewhat under the assumption that we were supposed to help him. My wife was peering over her arm and knee, tucked into the fetal position, occasionally glancing at me before returning to the creature. In a flurry of motion, the creature scrambled around the side of the bed and crawled quickly in a flaming sort of motion right along the bed until it was less than a foot from my wife's face. The creature was completely silent for about 30 seconds, or probably closer to 5. It just seemed a little while, just looking at my wife. The creature then placed its hand on her knee and ran into the hallway, leading into the kids' room. I screamed and ran for the light switch, planning to stop it before he hurt my children. When I got to the hallway, the light from the bedroom was enough to see it crouching and hunched over about 20 feet away. He turned around and looked directly at me. Covered in blood, I flipped the switch in the wall. My daughter, Clara. The creature ran down the stairs while my wife and I rushed to help her daughter. She was very badly injured and spoke only once in her short life. She said, "Yes, the Rake." My wife drove her car into the lake that night while rushing her daughter into the hospital. She did not survive. Being a small town, news got around pretty quickly. The police were puzzled first, and the local newspaper took a lot of interest as well. However, the story was never published, and the local television news never followed up either. For several months, my son Justin and I stayed at a hotel near my parents' house after we decided to return home. I began to look for answers myself. I eventually located a man in the next town over with a similar story. We got in contact and began talking about our experiences. He and two other people in New York who had seen this creature, we now referred to as the Rake. It took the four of us about 2 solid years hunting on the internet and writing letters coming up with a small connection of what we believed to be accounts of the Rake. None of them gave any details, history, or follow-up. One journal had entry involving the creature in its first 3 pages and never mentioned it again. A ship's log explained nothing of an encounter, saying only that they were told to leave by the Rake. That was the last entry in the log. There were, however, many instances where the creature's visit was one of a series visits with the same person. Multiple people had mentioned being spoken to, my daughter included. This led us to wonder if the Rake had visited us, any of us, before our last encounter. I set up a digital recorder near my bed and left it running all night. Every night, for 2 weeks, would tediously scan through the sounds of me roaming around in my bed each day. When I woke up, by the end of the second week, I was quite used to the occasional sound of sleep while blurring through the recording 8 times at normal speed. It was still almost an hour every day. On the first day of the third week, I thought I heard something different. What I found was a shrill voice. It was the Rake. I can't listen to it long enough to begin to translate it. I haven't let anyone listen to it yet. Although all I know is that I've heard it before. And now I believe that it spoke when it was sitting in front of my wife. I don't remember hearing anything at the time, but for some reason, the voice in the recorder immediately brings me back to that moment. The thoughts that must have gone through my daughter's head make me very upset. I've not seen the Rake since he ruined my life, but I know that he has been in my room while I slept. I know and I fear that one night I'll wake up to see him staring.